Hey Huskies, Mr. Chocolates here, and the following presentation on how to navigate a virtual college fair was given on the morning of Wednesday, February 10th. Welcome everybody to how to navigate a virtual college fair. What video I'm showing that hopefully you all can see, and maybe Miss Knott can let me know if you can't see it, is what an actual typical college fair has looked like. If you've never been to a college fair in the past, you go into a huge room like this. This is a video I made with students in the past. You go in, you get a list of all the colleges. You see it's packed with people. There's tables lined up all around. This is a regional fair. This would be like ours at Forest View would look like. That was supposed to be in April. And you would just walk up to a table and you would ask a rep a question from the different schools, and they would answer your question. And if you had a question, you would talk to them. If you weren't exactly sure what to ask, or you didn't really, you were too nervous to talk, you might just sneak by and grab a paper from their table or a booklet, or you would eavesdrop on someone else's conversation, and then you would move on to the next one, and kind of go from there. The virtual fair, of course, is going to be a little bit different, and hopefully you have all seen. It's not what I want you to see. Our virtual college and career events that we have listed, and there's several different types of virtual fairs. So I'm going to start off by showing you how some of them are set up logistically, okay, because some of them are different. And then I'm going to finish up with how to kind of navigate what to expect and so on and so forth. So as you can see here, there's a few different types, and I'm not going to talk about every kind. For instance, this Wisconsin fair specific to Wisconsin schools. Again, you can go to this. I will share I can share the link to this document later. You should have seen it hopefully in emails. And I'll put it in the YouTube description as well later on. But the first one I want to talk about is this IACAC Strive Scan 6x6. And the first one is coming up this Monday and Tuesday. So if we go to the website, this is how it looks. So you can see all these boxes and links and schools. So it can be, again, kind of confusing. Like, what am I supposed to do? This version of it, so let me just quickly say, Strive Scan is a company that helps run college fairs. If you were to go to an in-person fair and go up to those reps and talk, they would want your information so that they know you're interested. So you would either, in the past, you would fill out a postcard with all your name and high school and all that. Now you sign up through Strive Scan, you get a barcode, and then the rep would just scan your barcode and they would have all your info. It's a lot quicker. And especially now with, coming, even when fairs come back after the pandemic, I can't imagine many of them are going to want to be exchanging paper and sharing pens and all that kind of stuff. So this is definitely how in-person fairs will go. So they are partnering with the IACAC, the Illinois Association for College Admission Counseling. It's an organization made up of high school counselors like myself, I'm a member, and college admission reps. So anyway, this fair that they have in the spring coming up, again, starting with the first set of 2 days, Monday and Tuesday, is broken down in 45-minute sections. And within each section, you can see there are 6 schools. So that's why it's called, and each school has 6 minutes to give their little presentation about their school. So that's why it's called 6x6. 6 colleges have 6 minutes to give a really quick breakdown of what they're all about. So this is sort of like speed dating for college admission stuff. You don't have to sit through a whole 45-minute presentation, especially if you're just starting, if you're a sophomore or you're just starting to build your college list and you're like, I'm not really sure what type of school, what size school, whatever. This is a great way to get a lot of quick info about a lot of schools all at once. So in this 5 to 5:45 timeframe, you're really only recommended to sign up for one session. So you might look at this and say, you know what, I'm really interested in University of Tennessee. Great. I don't really know anything about these other schools. I'm not interested in them, whatever. That's okay. sign up to see maybe the one school you want, and you might be surprised. You only have to sit through 6 minutes of each of the other schools, so it shouldn't be, that bad. What I can tell just by looking through this is that they tried to put a mix of schools in each session. So Tennessee being a large public out-of-state school, Purdue Northwest being a smaller out-of-state public school, community colleges, St. Francis is a private school in Joliet. So out-of-state, in-state, public, private, they put a little bit of a mix in each one. So the idea is that you will stay for all 6 of them. So that's 36 minutes. There'll be a minute or so intro, a minute or two transition from one school to the other. And then the end, there'll be maybe 3 to 5 minutes where you could ask questions. So it's not meant to be a real personal, intimate conversation. It's not meant to get super in-depth about all the school has to offer and how does housing work and what are their scholarship plans and all that very basic info about the school. So again, you really should only pick one session each time frame. So just kind of look and see. And then Tuesday, again, they'll be different. So you could attend 6 sessions over the 2 days and hear from 36 colleges just within a couple hours. So it's kind of a nice intro. I'm assuming that from what I understand, this will be more of a webinar format. So you will come in, you won't have cameras or mics on. You'll ask questions through a chat. This is open to parents as well. Students should register. Parents register with the students info and questions. It's best if students ask questions, but there'll be parents are more than welcome to join in with the student, hopefully watching together with each other. So that's one form of the fair, the 6x6 fair. The Big Future Days is another one. And there was supposed to be one, it looks like this past Saturday on the 6th, but for some reason it says it's postponed. This is a little bit unique. This is a brand new event. This hasn't happened before, but they have their colleges broken down by areas of the country. So if you're thinking, you know what, I'm going to stay in the Midwest for college, then I might only attend the Thursday, March 11th fair, because this will just have colleges from, in this case, the Midwest. And you can, you can scroll down and see the list of colleges from each state that will be in attendance. And you can click on each state and it'll take you to the Big Future page for that college. Big Future is run by College Board, which runs, the SAT and AP tests and stuff like that. So you can see again who's going to be participating, and if you want more information, like I've never heard of Buena Vista University, you could click on it and it'll take you to the profile for that school, and you can learn a little bit more about it in advance. They don't unfortunately have more information about really how it will look. So it will be, I do want you to pay attention to the time, okay? Remember, we're Central Time. So this is 5 to 9 p.m. Eastern Time, meaning it's 4 to 8 p.m. Central Time. So make sure you have the right time zones. Same thing with our national fair, the NACAC fair, which is the big national fair. This one is, they're all from 1 to 7 Eastern Time. So again, 12 p.m. to 6 p.m. Central Time. You do not have to attend the fair for 6 hours straight on these days. It's a really long time. This version is probably the most overwhelming version of all, and I'll show you why in a second. If anyone attended the one on January 31st, like I did, they had some technical problems. The server was slow, people couldn't get in. So hopefully they've got that fixed. When you go to this page, you'll see some of the general fairs, and then they actually have some more specific ones, a STEM fair, a performing and visual arts fair, again, general fair, some geographic locations. But let's take a look at the main fair. The main national fair, and this was the fair that used to be held in Chicago and also Milwaukee in either end of September, early October. In Chicago, in the last few years, it's been at the McCormick Place. So a huge location where there was about 400 colleges in attendance. So here you can see online, there's 594 colleges there. And it's right now, if you just go to it, it's alphabetical order, and you can go through and it's going to be crazy overwhelming, right? So there's a few ways you can kind of search for this. And this kind of fair, I highly recommend you you kind of prepare in advance. You look at this in advance, you write out who you want to see, when they're going to be live, and all that. Because if you just click on this at 12 o'clock on this day and start scrolling through, it's going to be crazy. So you can do it, you can search a few ways. You can search by state, you can search by public or private or size or things like that. On the day of the fair, when things are live, you'll also be able to sort by live sessions that are currently going on, and then ones that are coming up in each hour time frame. So from, and again, it's Eastern time, so it'll say 1 to 2 Eastern, 2 to 3 Eastern, 3 to 4 Eastern, because not all 594 colleges are going to have a session the whole 6 hours. So if there's a school you want to really talk to, you got to make sure that they are, that you're available at that time. They're not going to be there the whole time. Okay, so for example, if I want to see Albion College, I want to know who's presenting, and I want know a little bit about it. I can see that they're going to have a session called the Albion Advantage from 2:30 to 3 Eastern time on the 28th. So that's the only time they're going to be doing anything, is that half-hour section from, it would be 1:30 to 2:30 Central time, and that's it. And if I click on it, I can't find out now, but when you get there that day, usually you can tell who's presenting and so on. So the thing that kind of stinks about this site is, let's say I am looking for private colleges that are medium sized, right? So it lowers it down, and I just kind of search down. I want to load more. Who else is coming? Oh, I'm interested in, let's see. I'm interested in University of Scranton because I like The Office and I wanted to go to school where it was filmed. I can, again, find out when they're coming. Right now, for some reason, no sessions are found. Hopefully they'll put some. Okay, what's next? I go back. Now I'm like all the way back at the start again, and I have to scroll down. So it's really annoying. So if you wait until the day of the fair to do this and try to find your schedule and figure out where you want to go, you're going to waste a ton of time. So it's best to do this like the day or two before the fair, plot out the schools you want. Again, when are they being offered, and so on and so forth. Some of these sessions, even though they're virtual, can fill up. You may click on one and they'll say this session's full. So again, another reason why you don't want to waste time that day clicking through the schedule to figure out who you want to talk to, because by the time you find what you're looking for, it could be full. Right now, it's just showing you, again, university names, but not every session's the same. Some will be an open session where the rep is just sitting there and you'll pop in and you'll ask questions, when they call on you or it's your turn, and we'll talk a little bit more about what to expect. There may be a presentation going on. The rep may have a PowerPoint up and they're going through it, and you come in the middle of it or at the start of it, and you just watch what they say and ask questions later. It could be a student panel where students are kind of talking and asking each other. It could be a specific topic. So not all of them are just general admission stuff. Some of it could be housing, it could be athletics, it could be a specific major or department. So a lot of it is really, they can all depend. So that's why, again, it's important to kind of look through each one and see, what are they actually offering? And so, why some of these don't have sessions listed, even when, they say that they're on here, again, is confusing. So, and maybe they just haven't decided yet. They just signed up and they're like, oh, we'll figure it out later. So again, it's important though to come back a day or two before and find out what what's happening. So those are the three main types. The last type of visit I want to talk about real quick is not a fair, but it's our district rep visits. So on these other ones, there's going to be people from all across the state, the country, the world, possibly going to these things. But we have reps coming just to the District 214 schools. And so this list will also be, shared out with you if it hasn't been already. But you can see every day, probably starting March 1st, we will have college reps visiting one of the schools here in District 214. So you can see, for example, on March 1st, the University of College Dublin is going to be here at 8:40. The times are either 8:40 or 9:15. They're a half hour each. And you'll come to this document, and on that day, you will click on the link and you will go into that rep visit. Some of them are Zoom, some of them might be WebEx, some of them might be something else. Some of them might have passcodes that you need. Some of them, like some of the Harper ones, are only for juniors or only for seniors. Juniors, sophomores could go too. I don't know if sophomores are going to be interested in Harper quite yet, but they could be. And then you'll see the host school. So for example, University of College Dublin on the 1st, we're the host school. That means probably Mrs. Knott will be in there when you log in, and you'll see her and she'll just kind of monitor everything. But let's say you wanted to go to University of Indianapolis instead, and it's Wheeling. You can still go. It doesn't matter who the host school is. Anybody from any of the 6 schools can go to any of the visits. So you may be the only student in a meeting that's sponsored by Prospect. You may be with students from all the schools. It doesn't matter what school is hosting it. You can go to it. Okay. If you have 0 hour, talk to me or Miss Knott. We could figure out maybe if there's a way to get you excused for the visit like you would have if we were in person. If you are an in-person student and you think, well, I'm usually traveling during this time, or can I come early and sit somewhere? You can come early and sit in the Carter Gym. If it's not a lot of you, you can probably even sit in the College and Career Center and watch it virtually. So just talk to us if you think there's going to be a conflict with traveling or with 0 hour class, but they're all going to be done before the first period, either 5th or 6th period of the day. So I know that might have been a lot, but I just want you to kind of see how some of the fairs are set up. Now, what can you expect when you get in there? And this document, again, will be shared with you or posted in the description on the YouTube post when we're done. So there's 3 kind of most likely options when you click into any of these sessions. One could be you're the only person in the room with one admissions rep and they're just waiting to talk to you. So this could catch you off guard, right? Your video comes up, you connect to audio, and then there's this person staring at you. Oh, hey, how's it going? Like, what questions do you have? And you're like, whoa, wait a minute. So try not to just leave in terror or anything like that. Just give yourself a second. If hopefully you have questions, and we'll talk about some questions to have prepared. If, be honest, just say, hey, I'm just here to kind of get some info or see what your school is all about. For the virtual fairs, because you have registered for those, they will probably get a list of your name. So you don't want to just like bail out of there and so on quickly. You want to just wait and see what's going on and say, look, I don't have any questions. I just wanted to, find out about the school, or, can you just tell me a couple of things about it? Don't just run out of there if you're the only one. There could be other people talking, already. So maybe they're asking questions, number 2, or there's a formal presentation. So go in, make sure you're muted, make sure that they don't hear you, talking in the background. Depending on how the college has their meet set up, they could have it where you're not allowed to unmute. They could have it where you're already unmuted and you don't realize that. That happened to me when I was on the One National Fair. I came into one, a lady was presenting, a rep was presenting, and I didn't realize I was unmuted and my kids were yelling in the background. So just kind of check your settings before you go in. And if other people, or especially if other people are talking, they might have you use the chat or the Q&A function instead of unmuting yourself. So just take a second to see what's going on, who's talking, who else is there. You know, are they calling my name to ask me something, or are they just kind of going about their business? And this has happened a bunch of times, both here at our district rep visits and at even the fair I went to a couple weeks ago. I clicked on the link, they said they were on the schedule and nobody was there. The rep didn't, whatever, it said they're waiting to start the meeting, or nobody had started it or whatever. So sometimes if no one's there, they may have signed off for a second and they get an email that you're trying to get in and they'll pop on real quick. It could be they're having technical difficulties, but again, they saw that you tried to go in, maybe they'll reach out to you later. So I would give it a couple of minutes. For the school ones, the District 214 ones, if the reps aren't showing up, usually the host school, like when it's happened here at Hersey, Mrs. Knott will try to quickly call the rep and say, hey, where are you? What's going on? Are you coming? You know, did the link change? And we'll try to get it going. So don't just completely bail if you're interested in the school. Give it a few minutes and then see what's going on. If it's the 214 visit, go back to the document and re-click the link. We might have had to switch the link or something like that. And so that can happen a lot. So those are the three kind of likely scenarios that you might, again, run into, where it's you're the only one there and you're kind of caught off guard. Something's already happening and you're just, you know, waiting to figure out what's taking place, or no one's showing up, no one's there, you're all by yourself, or the thing hasn't even started and you're not sure what to do. So just, you know, wait a minute and see what happens. Okay, so some tips. Again, be prepared. Know what you're looking, you know, for in a college. You know, you don't want to go to that NACAC fair and just click on random stuff and you're like, oh, this school has nothing to do interested in what I want. So try the best you can. Juniors should have used the Supermatch tool in Naviance by this point already, and start plugging into Supermatch what you're interested in, the size, the location, the major. It should give you a list of colleges that might be good fits. Take that list, compare it to who's going to be at the fair, and see if you can, you know, schedule it out where you can meet with some of those schools. Sometimes Supermatch in Naviance gives you a list of schools that you've never heard of before, and you're like, what, you know, I've never heard of this place. What is it? Oh, look, they're coming to the NACAC fair. Let me check it out and see what they have to say. Again, be ready if the rep does call on you. Like, who are you? Like, what can you do? If they call on you, and if they ask you questions, and then be ready to have a response, you know, as well. So if they say, hi, you know, welcome, what can I help you with? Oh, I'm, you know, so-and-so, I go to John Hersey High School, I'm a junior, I'm, you know, interested in this, I wanted to know more about your scholarships or your admission process, or, you know, have something ready if they call on you and put you on guard. Keep an open mind. So, you know, make a list of schools you're already thinking about, but if you haven't heard of a school before, or again, if they show up on that Supermatch list, you know, jump in there on the 6x6 one. Again, there's going to be schools you've never heard of. I've never heard of some of those schools, to be honest with you, but keep an open mind. You know, jot down a note. Hey, I didn't know anything about Texas State University, but it sounded cool that they had, you know, this opportunity. So jot down some notes and maybe look into it, you know, down the road. Whenever we had in-person fairs, I would always suggest to my students, you see that rep that's just standing there with nobody to talk to? They want to talk to you about their school. Just go up and see what they have to say instead of waiting, you know, 45 minutes in line at a school that, you know, you can get info or you've talked to 3 times already. Go to a new school. Okay. Make your questions count. So again, open-ended questions that can't be found on a website. So try not to ask, you know, where is your school, or how many students, or do you have this major? You could look those things up in advance. You could Google them or do whatever, but maybe what opportunities you have for research. How do I get involved in my first 2 years? You know, what is the campus like? You know, I don't know anything about Eau Claire, Wisconsin. You know, I saw UW Eau Claire like coming up right after Texas. state. What is that town like? What is there to do there? Again, know your info. So know your GPA, know your interest. If you have a test score, kind of know what that might be. So if they ask you, you can kind of get an idea. And then if it is a chat related, a chat formatted visit, put your questions in the chat. Use your time wisely while you're in there. It could be a popular one where they're getting 50 Q&As. So get it in there quick, get it in there, so that they'll hopefully answer it before time runs out. Tech check, again, make sure your device is charged so you don't get kicked out. It's hard to get back in. Make sure all your stuff is working, just like for class. But again, if you're in the middle of talking to somebody, if you're using your own Zoom account, make sure your name is shown. If you're going to use a family computer, I would try to rename yourself to you and not your parents' name so that it doesn't get confusing. And then if it's an option to have your face shown, it looks good. And again, colleges might be taking note of this. They may be, especially in our smaller district ones, some schools do write down and make a note of how interested you seem. And if they can write down, oh, this person had their camera on, they were talking, they were asking questions, it could help you, honestly. So be as engaged as possible. Okay. And then follow up afterwards. If you want with questions, if they put their email and name in the chat, copy it down in your notes section so that you know how to get back with them later. And then these are just some questions. Again, I'll share this out with everybody, but test scores are popular. How are you using test scores this year? If it's not required for admission, is it required for scholarships? What are our first year students required to live on campus? Do they get to pick classes first or last? How does that work? What are your popular or unique programs? Are your majors direct admit? Do you have to get into them right away, or can I take a few years to decide what I want and then apply later? And so on and so forth. So I'm not going to read all the questions, but again, these are mostly questions that you won't just find on a quick Google search or a quick, the fast facts section of their website, but a little bit more in depth that might require some explanation, and that really show that you are really interested in the school. So that's pretty much the quick rundown, the quick half-hour rundown of how the fairs work and how to be ready to more navigate a virtual fair. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me directly, and have fun at the virtual college fairs. For more frequent reminders, updates, resources, and more, please follow us on social media at Life After Hersey and subscribe to my YouTube page.